its inception in 1844, Boys Latin has always emphasized its special relationship with its students and alumni. Dyson Ehrhardt has nurtured those relationships, as well as those with parents and friends, to over the years raise tens of millions of dollars, which changed the landscape of the school and improved the campus experience for the boys.
I'm telling you what we have here, and it's a great little school, and we do so much for so many young people. This is what I'm saying, and I'd like you to be a part of it.
Dyson, from what I understand and what I've confirmed and what I've seen over a period of decades, wrote the book on development in the Baltimore market.
I've always referred to Dyson as the dean of development in the independent schools in the Baltimore area, and I truly believe that.
He's done that through building relationships, both in our community and outside our community. We've had a lot of people see what Boys Latin's about and embrace it, who are not Boys Latin people. I'm selling a great product. It's on education for your child, and there's nothing better than that, and that's an easy thing to sell.
As we talked about before, this bridge really unites the campus.
When we moved out here, we moved into Llewellyn, the upper school, and the whole entire school was involved in that. And the thing that really kept us, it was great having everybody together. And then in the 70s, we moved over here to the lower school and the middle school, and that separated us. And so when we finally put the bridge up, that just brought us back together again and made a big difference, I think.
My late husband, his two brothers, and our 4 sons were all students here, and all have benefited by their attendance at Boys Latin. It is in memory of my late husband, and for you students, I have dedicated this bridge in the memory of Julian Sinclair Smith.
And this bridge is really an iconic symbol of Boys Latin.
Yeah, it's really, it was given by Carolyn Smith, and it was just, it's one of my favorite things for the school, because I guarantee you it has saved boys' lives crossing Lake Avenue.
So the campus is really, as we said, divided into 2 parts, but not divided because there's a way to connect them.
The bridge was the main gift that we got. We were across the road. We moved out in 1960, and we had the whole entire school in Llewellyn, and it was K through 12. And in 70, we were just really crowded. We needed some room, and this piece of property came up for sale, and it was the Jenkins estate, a house. And so we purchased this, and we moved in here in 1970 with the lower school. So you left the upper school and the middle school across the road. Lower school came in here, and it really did. It really worked well. Doris Regan was head of the lower school, and she did a super job for us. And in 74, we were getting a little cramped here as a lower school, and then the Cochran property down the hill came up for sale, and we bought that. And then we had the upper school across the road on their own, middle school here, and the lower school down below. And if you think about it, you had the entire school living in 3 homes, beautiful old homes, before we got in there and decorated them and changed them all around. We were very lucky to buy in the 60s there, in the upper school in the 70s over here, to pick up 60 acres in a location like this was pretty special. And the buildings worked for a while, and then we had to come in and do renovation on them, stuff like that. But this building was torn down and rebuilt, and it looks exactly like we modeled it after the old building. So It looks like the old home. And the development office was upstairs. That's where we worked. They said, Dyson, you're in charge of fundraising now, and we're going to put you on the 3rd floor. I said, well, why are you hiding me? So we scared a lot of people away. No, very few people came up to see us, But it was a good location. We had 3 people working up there. We ran a couple capital campaigns from up there, and it was a lot better than where we were before, and that was in the old Cochran property in their basement for a while. But no, it was very satisfactory. It was great being over here with the little kids too. You could have a bad day. Anytime I have a bad day, I usually go to the lower school and just walk around and see the kids, and that'll put a smile on your face. One thing about all this property, we have used every little bit that's been out there. We've taken advantage of every building and every nook and cranny that the place has offered, and they've been great for the school. This is the Ehrhardt Gymnasium, Ehrhardt building. We were really pushed. The lower school, middle school had to go to the upper school to do gym and for any athletic program like that. So what we did is Joe Ehrhardt passed away in an untimely death, accident. He was with CBS, he was on the board with Bill Paley, and a good friend of Bill Paley's who was the chairman of CBS. And we thought if we could get some money out of Mr. Paley, we could say, hey, we're gonna name this building the Joe Ehrhardt Center. So we went to Mr. Paley and we asked him for some money. We asked him for $75,000, and at that point in time, that would get you started in the building. So we said we'd like to name this the Ehrhardt Center, and we named it after Joe, and Mr. Paley was the leadership gift, and gifts all followed right after that. So tremendous, great addition to the school, and it kept the kids, again, I keep saying, it kept the kids from crossing Lake Avenue.
So, do you get a chance to walk around campus very much?
I do. When we had the pandemic, that sort of kept us, everybody was isolated. You know, we had to stay on the other side of the bridge. Actually, we weren't allowed to go into the lower and middle school, so we lost about 8 or 9 months there. But any free time that I have, it's just nice to walk around. The Ehrhardt Center, it's a gym and an auditorium right now, and we have all kinds of things that go on in there, assemblies and everything. But this wing of it right here, that used to be the art room and the music room, because we didn't have an art room and a music room. We were living in bedrooms and stuff like that in the Jenkins estate. This building we put up, and it's named Smith Hall. And this was a great building at the time. The lower and middle school both used it as a library, as a cafeteria at the time, and classrooms on the 2nd floor. It was named after Duncan's father, I believe. And it just says the Smith family, so we're going to include all of them in that. Four years ago, Teddy Bauer came in, and we had people eating. The lower school and middle school all had their cafeteria. Everybody had a different cafeteria they were going to. And we were saying, wouldn't it be great if we could just get one cafeteria and put all the kids in the one? So we turned this into Teddy Bauer, named it in memory of his father, and it's a cafeteria for the entire school, so they can all eat at one time. Helps us out with scheduling and all that kind of stuff. It really is, it's sort of special. It brings back relationships. I think the lower school boys really do. They walk here and they look up at the seniors and juniors walking in with their lacrosse sticks or with their books or whatever, and they just sort of look up to them, and they're thinking, someday maybe it's going to be me one of these days walking around there. You think the upper school boys might just say, this is a lot of junk, I don't need to do this. They enjoy it. They get, they form some relationships and stuff like that. And every once in a while you hear that maybe a middle school boy wrote to a senior, a freshman in college, and they remember just being lunch buddies and stuff. So it's all about relationships. You look around at all the buildings that have been given, there have been plenty of generous donors that have just said, what do you need next? And we tell them, and it just happens. And it doesn't happen if you're not doing things right. And I think we, on the whole, I think we do more right than wrong.
And also being being a smaller school too.
We're probably going to get a little larger with the boarding school, but it's still not going to affect your teacher-student ratio, I don't think. It's important for us to remain small and have that 1 to 8, 1 to 10 relationship. Kids just aren't numbers here. You know, they've got names and everybody knows them, and that's because we're small.
We were talking about the fact that there were 3 libraries.
3 libraries.
And now we have
And
one.
it didn't make sense. So Carolyn Smith wanted it, when we were doing this building, we said we might as well do the library at the same time. So we put this in, and this was strictly the middle and lower school used it. I think the lower school just uses it now, but because the middle school has their own library in their new building. So this is the lower school library, and it was given by Carolyn B. Smith. And it's great. You know, it's separate. It's all the lower school, and they're very much at home in there. So it's a great building. Another great addition to the school. We had a dedication in here for Mrs. Smith, and it was really, really special. She was in the front of the room, and she was sitting down, and she had all her children and all of her grandchildren. But it was a great picture of Carolyn Smith and her whole family around her when they dedicated the building. So that was pretty nice, pretty special for her, definitely.
This is really another iconic building on campus.
Right. And it all goes to our admissions. Admissions was really improving, and we were getting a lot more boys in there. And as I said before, we had the middle school and the upper school on the north side of Lake Avenue. South side was the lower school, and they were really busting at their seams over in the upper school. So we came up with the idea, let's build let's move our lower school down here. This was a private home. This was the Cochran estate. The Cochrans lived here. And so we bought it from them, and then we moved the lower school down here. Am I making sense on it?
Yes.
We did moved the lower school down here, and then we were able to move the middle school, who was really cramped over there with the upper school boys, over to this spot. So we had upper, middle, and lower here. And this was Alex Cochran, who was a great architect, built this in the 50s. And it's not this building. It was a very modern building that he put up. And he got an awful lot of grief from a lot of the neighborhood, upset with the building. But we bought it, and we put our lower school in there. And it was a great work. It worked fine for us. And we even put the development office in there for a while.
I get a call from Dyson, and I think I'm on the board now. I don't remember, 95, I think I went on the board, and it's probably 95, and our company is in the process of getting to go public, and so I sat down with Dyson, and we're looking around, what do we need to do here on campus? And it was like, we need a lower school. And for those alums that are around, they remember the lower school was a modern house, 1 story, built by the Cochran architect, and that was the lower school. It was like 5 bedrooms, and it was an awful mess. And so Dice says, it'd be nice to have a lower school. I said, well, I don't have that kind of money. And I said, but I'll make a donation. And it went from a single-digit 7-figure gift. The next thing you know, I'm being worked, and we end up taking care of the whole project. And out of that initial donation that was only going to be a single 7 figures turned into be considerably more. The guy worked me. He's been working me for 50 years, and I never knew it.
When Duncan and I were asked to really look at the plans for the building and what we really wanted, and having lived and taught in the older lower school, 2 things: bathrooms and storage. And we got it. And it had to be bright. Because if it was going to have Dyson Ehrhardt across the front, that's Dyson. Dyson lights up the room when he walks in.
When the building was named for Dyson, and I knew, of course, it was going to happen before the day that it actually happened, I felt like that was the most powerful name that had gone up on the school, except for Williams. And I thought, that's perfect.
I'd like to welcome you all here this morning for the lower school groundbreaking. We're very happy this is made possible through the generosity of an alumnus, J. Duncan Smith.
So we had a groundbreaking ceremony, and we're all sitting out here, and Duncan gets up and gives a little talk, and he says, I'd like to name the building Ehrhardt Hall. And that was quite a shock and quite a very nice gesture on his part.
Finally, the Boys Latin School will have the name of Ehrhardt Hall in memory of Dyson Ehrhardt. I have known Dyson for 36 years, and he is without a doubt one of the most dedicated and loyal members of the school family. This groundbreaking ceremony
We have at home a little plaque that says, "Life has no reward nobler than friendship." And I thank Duncan for his friendship. Thank you all.
You didn't know it was happening?
I did not know it was happening. No, it was. I thought he was going. I actually thought he was going to name it after his father. And we went into that building. We sat and talked a little bit, and he talked to me about, his dad and all that. I thought he was, if he was going to name it, he was going to definitely name it after his father. And he just sat here, and then all of a sudden, he said, "It's going to name it Ehrhardt Hall, after my old friend." So that was very nice.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, I don't get caught off guard too many times. I was definitely caught off guard a little bit then, and I am an emotional type of guy. Maybe a lot of people don't think so, but I have my moments, and that was one of the moments. That was really something special. A boy that you taught, you coached, you grew up with, and then you're friends with in life. And there's an age difference, and we were just always very close. And for him to do that meant a lot. Still means a lot. The architect came in, and Duncan said, from downtown, where the old building was on Brevard Street, you could look out the study hall window and you saw the B&O station, and it's still there today. And there's a big clock in a tower down there right now, and Duncan wanted to make sure that the architect took that tower and put it here. So that's a little bit of Brevard Street. Very happy very pleased and honored to have it named after me. And as I said to Jennifer earlier, sorry my mother and father weren't alive to see it then. They'd have been very proud. I would have liked for them to have seen this.
Tell me again what it says on that wall.
Ehrhardt Hall. When it first happened and we were having the dedication and everything, and they unveiled it in Ehrhardt Hall, I thought, I got 3 teachers at Boys Latin are rolling over in their graves saying, Mr. Morris, Mr. O'Connor, and Mr. Hahn, the 3 owners of the school, are saying, how in the name of God did that ever happen? And that'd be a legitimate question. It's because of my friendship with Duncan. But it was funny. It was the first thing I thought of. These 3 guys that own the school. How did this guy ever get his name on a building without dying? It's nice to have it in honor of instead of in memory of. As I said before, you're having a bad day, you want to get pepped up, just walk through those hallways and see these little boys running around. It's special, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. Somebody said, how come he named the lower school after you, Dyson? Is it because that was the only class you graduated from? I said, yeah, Doug, thanks. You can print that too. There was always Saturday detentions. I was on the list most of the time, all the time, probably. And they'd send a little card home on Wednesday to your parents saying, Dyson has to come to school Saturday from 9 to 11. He has a detention. Okay, fine. So one Wednesday, my mother didn't get one. she called Boys Latin School and talked to Miss Steele, who was the secretary, and she said, Miss Steele, you know, we didn't get a notice that Dyson had to come to school Saturday for Saturday detention. She said, oh, let me check. She said, oh, that's my mistake. He has a detention, he's got to come. That's a true story. That's true. Oh, thanks, Mom. If you were an athlete and you were an Okie crunch, you have eating potato chips in between meals, you got a Saturday detention. I mean, you got him for everything, and I got him for that. I just had a lot of Saturday detentions. Nothing bad, nothing bad.
But how did those experiences help you to be more understanding and tolerant and to be able to relate to the students that you taught and coached?
I've been there. I always tell these kids, you're not going to do anything I haven't already done. I hope some things you don't do. And I think when you walk that walk with them and you hear them, I think you can relate. I can relate to everyone that got a Saturday detention, you know, but no, you relate to the kids. It's important. Listen to them. When you make a mistake, if you don't learn from that mistake, then shame on you. You know, you got to be better from that.
And something we talked about earlier, that the emphasis on the individual boy. Tell me what that means.
You know, Jack, I went to Jack Williams, and I think we've told the story before, but I went to Jack Williams one day, and I said, you know, this kid's just really driving me crazy. He doesn't do this, doesn't do that. He said, have you ever heard him play the piano? I said, no. He said, start there. Start with their strength. Find something good. Kid's in trouble. Find out what he did right. Let's talk about that, and then say we're going to work on everything else after that. So important. Never turn your back on them. You never turn your back on a 15, 16-year-old kid just because he's made a mistake. You identify with it, you move ahead, and you say, hey, you know, we're going to be better because of this. If you walk out of here and you haven't learned anything, I'm really upset with you. But if you walk out of here and you've learned a little something, then I'm pleased.